Every Supreme Court judge that Donald Trump put on the bench were all found by the Heritage Foundation. Donald Trump seated between 250 to 300 federal judges across the country, and every one of them were found by the Heritage Foundation. Out of the entire 250 to 300 federal judges that Donald Trump put on the bench, not one of them was black or Latino. Every one of them were white and primarily white men, and they were all found by the Heritage Foundation. Donald Trump signed dozens of executive law orders into law concerning the border. Every executive order that he signed were all written by the Heritage Foundation. Donald Trump signed dozens of executive orders concerning regulations to remove federal regulations. Every law that he signed concerning regulations were all written by the Heritage Foundation. Donald Trump is a businessman. He's not a politician, is what they like to say. And they're right. Donald Trump is a businessman, a bad businessman. He's not a politician. So when Donald Trump took office, he had no clue as to how to fill a presidential cabinet. Since we know he didn't know how to fill a presidential cabinet, we know he had to seek outside help. What we don't know is who he sought for that help. Again, it was the Heritage Foundation. I said all of that to say this. These young black Trump supporters are doing everything they can to distance themselves from the Heritage Foundation. And the reason they're trying to distance themselves is because of this nightmare manifesto that was published by the Heritage Foundation called Project 2025. If you haven't heard of it, Google Project 2025. But in a nutshell, what it is, it's a manifesto or a set of laws and policies that Donald Trump is to put in place if he's reelected in 2024. The manifesto is so bad that nobody is trying to defend it. What they're now doing is trying to distance themselves, or better yet, they're trying to put distance between Donald Trump and the Heritage Foundation. So this young brother is trying to convince us that Donald Trump wouldn't use the manifesto Project 2025. My question to him is, if Donald Trump have used everything that they have suggested so far, why wouldn't he use Project 2025? Project 2025 give Donald Trump dictatorship powers. Knowing that Project 2025 is going to give him dictatorship powers, why wouldn't he implement that manifesto? Of course he will. Of course he is. And of course he can't wait to implement Project 2025. This brother is just being willfully ignorant. And another thing he's being willfully ignorant about, and that's black cities that are led by Democrats. He's suggesting that the cities that are black and led by Democrats are somehow worse than any other cities. See, he has fallen for the white supremacist lie, because what he don't mention is the black cities that are led by Republicans. I myself would much rather live in a black city that's led by Democrats than a black city that's led by Republicans, because I would much rather live in Baltimore or Detroit or in LA, in Atlanta or Miami or Orlando than I would rather live in, just say for instance, Tupelo, Mississippi, or any city in Alabama, any black city in Alabama, or any black city in Louisiana, or any black city in Arkansas, or any black city in West Virginia. Can you imagine living in those black cities that are led by Republicans? Black cities that are led by Democrats, the population have better health care, better education, better jobs, higher wages, more opportunities. I can just go on and on and on about how much better it is to live in a black city that is led by Democrats. They only put one thing in front of everything else, and that's crime. But if you go per capita, black cities that are led by Democrats have far less crime per capita than black cities that are led by Republicans. So he is willfully ignorant again. 9 out of 10 of the poorest states in this country are led by Republicans. 99 out of 100 of the poorest cities are led by Republicans. Being black, living in a black city in a Republican-led state is a nightmare. They don't have access to quality health care. They don't have access to quality education. They don't have access to high-speed internet. During COVID, Joe Biden had to make a vow to bring high-speed internet and remove dial-up from the poorest cities and counties that are in Republican-led states, and he did that. A lot of those black people were still on dial-up. Living in a black city led by Democrats is not a bad thing. I'm willing to bet this brother here would much rather live in LA or Atlanta than Tupelo, Mississippi. He's just been fooled into being willfully ignorant.